Beautiful, spicy ladies. It's so good to have you here. Whether you're watching this on your couch, listening on your walk, or sneaking this in during your lunch break, welcome. I want to acknowledge something right off the bat. If you're here, you're not just looking to hook a guy. You're here because you want to understand how attraction really works. You want something deeper, something real, and that makes you a woman of intention. I admire that. Now, let's be honest. We live in a world full of mixed signals, swipes, and highlight reels. And in the middle of all that noise, it's easy to wonder what really makes a man feel that primal, magnetic, can't stop thinking about you kind of desire. Why do some women seem to light a man up like a firework display, while others struggle to hold his attention past a few dates? The answers might surprise you. Because desire, true sexual desire, is not just about how you look. It's not about wearing the tightest dress in the room or playing games to grab his attention. In fact, some of the most desirable women I know aren't the loudest, the flashiest, or even the most traditionally beautiful, but they have something that spark, that presence, that pulls a man in and keeps him there. So, spicy ladies, today I want to break down exactly what that something is. We're going to unpack 5 powerful triggers that awaken a man's sexual desire. Not just on a surface level, but in a way that creates chemistry, intensity, and emotional connection. Let's get into it. There is something undeniably magnetic about a woman who walks into a room and owns it. Not because she's trying to be seen, not because she's putting on a show, but because she radiates a quiet, grounded confidence in who she is. That kind of presence turns heads. And what's more powerful, it turns hearts. You see, true sexual desire isn't triggered by how much skin you show or how closely you resemble a magazine cover. It's triggered by the way you inhabit yourself. It's the energy you carry. The unspoken message that says, I know who I am, I don't need to prove it, I just am. That kind of confidence doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't need validation. And that's exactly why it's irresistible. When a man encounters a woman who feels at home in her body, he feels it. It's in the way she holds herself when she laughs without shrinking. It's in how she walks across a room, not rushed, not trying to disappear, but with an ease that says she belongs. It's in how she lets her eyes linger just a second longer during a conversation. Not out of manipulation, but because she's present, unafraid, and not performing. That presence creates a ripple effect. It makes a man want to lean in. It pulls him toward her. Why? Because when a woman is deeply connected to herself, it gives him permission to connect more deeply too. Sexual energy is not just about visual stimulation. It's about the tension, the build-up, the unspoken confidence that creates an environment where intimacy can unfold naturally. What most people get wrong is thinking they need to look a certain way to be sexually desirable, that they need to be thinner, curvier, younger, more glamorous. But have you ever seen someone who doesn't fit any conventional beauty standard yet somehow exudes raw, undeniable sex appeal? That's not a coincidence. That's embodiment. That's a woman who has made peace with herself. And because of that peace, she doesn't need to chase attention. She draws it effortlessly. The most attractive trait in the world is someone who's not trying to be anyone but themselves. It doesn't mean she doesn't take care of herself or enjoy looking good. But it means her self-worth isn't hanging in the balance of how others respond to her. That freedom, that detachment is what makes her unforgettable. When you feel sexy for yourself, not for him, not for validation, but because you're deeply connected to your own body and your own pleasure, something changes. You stop outsourcing your confidence. You stop asking, am I enough? And instead start declaring, I already am. That shift is like striking a match in a dark room. It ignites attraction at the deepest level. Because men aren't just drawn to a woman's body, they're drawn to how she feels inside it. And when you show up with confidence, not arrogance, not performance, but grounded, relaxed, feminine certainty, you don't have to chase desire. You become it. Right now, if you are still watching, I hope this video can help you. Your comments motivate me so much, so I can make more videos which you like. So hit that subscribe button and leave me a message. Let's continue. There's a powerful magnetism that lives in mystery, and most people completely misunderstand it. When I say emotional mystery, I'm not talking about playing games, being hot and cold, or acting aloof. That kind of manipulation might capture attention for a moment, but it never sustains real desire. What I'm talking about is something far more authentic and far more effective. It's about revealing yourself in layers. It's about holding space for curiosity. It's about inviting a man into your emotional world. Not all at once, not in a flood, but slowly, intentionally, in a way that makes him want to earn access to the deeper parts of you. That's the mystery that sparks deep sexual desire. Not just surface level attraction, but the kind of craving where a man feels pulled towards you mentally, emotionally, and physically. You see, when you give someone everything too quickly, your life story, your insecurities, your emotional history, it doesn't create intimacy, it overwhelms it. And more importantly, it removes the process. And that process, the discovery, is where attraction lives. Human beings are wired to value what they invest in. When a man has to earn pieces of you, when he gets to unwrap you like a gift, when he doesn't know what's coming next but can feel the energy building, that's when he becomes captivated. That's when he thinks about you when you're not around, because he hasn't gotten the whole picture yet, and his imagination begins to do the work. And imagination, especially when paired with anticipation, is one of the most powerful triggers of sexual desire. But here's the key. You can't fake this. True emotional mystery isn't about withholding or pretending. It's about being grounded enough in yourself that you're not in a rush to be seen. You know your value. You know that anyone worth having in your life will take the time to truly get to know you. So, you let things unfold naturally. You share just enough to connect, but you don't overshare to impress. You let him wonder a little, you let him ask. And when he does, you don't give away everything. You give away truth. Selective, intentional, heartfelt truth that leaves him feeling like he just got a peek behind the curtain. Men don't fall for what they fully understand on day one. They fall for women who reveal themselves slowly, who keep surprising them emotionally and intellectually. When a man realizes there's always another layer to you, that he hasn't seen the full landscape of your heart yet, he gets hooked. And not just by your looks or the way you flirt, but by the sense that there's something rare and beautiful behind your eyes. Something he can only discover if he keeps showing up. That's what creates not just attraction, but addiction, not just sex, but depth. And that's the kind of mystery that makes you unforgettable. One of the most underrated turn-ons in the world is this. A woman who is deeply, unapologetically passionate about her own life. I'm not talking about being busy. I'm not talking about checking things off a to-do list or filling every hour of your calendar to look impressive. I'm talking about the woman who is alive. The woman who wakes up excited by her purpose, who moves through her day connected to what brings her joy, who isn't just existing, she's thriving. That kind of woman doesn't just attract attention, she commands it. She doesn't need to chase desire because her passion creates a gravitational pull. Men feel it and they want in. You see, when you have a life that lights you up, you become instantly more attractive. Not because you're trying to be, but because your energy is irresistible. Passion is sexy, drive is sexy, joy is sexy. Spicy ladies, when a man sees that you've built a world that fulfills you, it triggers something primal in him. It makes him curious. He starts to wonder what it would feel like to be part of her orbit. He doesn't feel like you need him to fill a void. He sees that you want, not need. And that difference is powerful. Neediness repels. Passion pulls. Spicy ladies. So many people fall into the trap of thinking that being available 24/7, that rearranging your entire life for someone will make them value you more. But let me tell you what really sparks desire. When you're not always available. Not because you're playing games, but because you're out there living. You've got places to be, people to see, a mission that excites you. When you have that kind of focus, that sense of fulfillment, you walk differently, you speak differently. You don't rush to fill silences or force conversations because you're not coming from lack. You're already full. And that fullness is unbelievably attractive. Think about the moments in your life when you've been the most radiant, the most magnetic. I guarantee it wasn't when you were obsessing over someone else's text reply. It was when you were doing something you loved, when you were lost in your creativity, laughing with friends, or showing up fully in your element. That's the version of you that awakens desire. Not just physical desire, but the desire to know you, to be close to you, to feel what you feel. Because when a man sees a woman in her passion, he sees possibility. And it makes him want to be part of that story. Not because you need him to write it, but because your story is already so compelling, he doesn't want to miss it. The truth is, a woman with passion is unique. She's the one who doesn't fade into the background. She's the one who stays in his mind. Not just because of how she looks, but because of how she lives. And when you live with that kind of passion, you don't just attract love, you attract the right kind of love. The one that meets you at your level. There's a deep, beautiful kind of intimacy that comes from a woman who allows herself to be seen not through performance or perfection, but through authentic vulnerability. And yet, this is one of the most misunderstood aspects of attraction. So many people confuse vulnerability with neediness, but the two couldn't be more different. Neediness says, I need you to make me feel okay. Vulnerability says, I already know who I am and I'm letting you in. And when a man encounters that kind of strength wrapped in softness, it stirs something powerful in him. It makes him feel safe. It makes him feel trusted. And that trust, that emotional openness, it turns him on in ways most people can't even imagine. There is nothing sexier than a woman who can share her truth without falling apart. A woman who can express her fears, her dreams, her doubts, but do it from a place of ownership, not desperation. When you can say, hey, this is me, and I'm not perfect, but I'm real, it draws a man in because now he's not just looking at someone who looks good on the outside. He's connecting with something raw and real on the inside. That emotional spark is where true sexual desire begins. It's not just about how your body makes him feel. It's about how your presence makes him feel seen, understood, wanted, not for what he can give, but for who he is. And the irony is, the more you chase validation, the more it slips away. But the more you lean into your own worth, into your self-respect, the more freely you can open up without fear of rejection, because your value isn't hanging on his response. That's what allows you to be vulnerable from a place of power. You're not looking for someone to save you, you're inviting someone to know you. And when a man feels chosen, not because you need someone, but because you want him, that creates a deep, almost primal attraction. It's the difference between being a mirror and being a muse. One reflects what you want to see, the other inspires you to go deeper. So, how does this show up in real life? It's the moment you admit, yeah, I've been hurt before, but I still believe in love. It's when you say, I'm scared of getting too close, but I'd rather risk it than play small. It's when you open your heart with no guarantee it'll be returned, but you do it anyway because that's the kind of woman you are. That kind of honesty isn't weakness. It's the most powerful thing you can offer. And it doesn't repel the right man. It calls him forward. It activates his depth. It makes him feel like he's with someone he can build with, someone who feels like home. So don't hide your truth to try to seem perfect. Let him meet the real you, because that's where emotional intimacy begins. And when emotional intimacy is present, sexual chemistry goes from a spark to a wildfire. One of the most overlooked and underestimated triggers of a man's sexual desire is subtlety. It's not in the overt, the obvious, or the overly revealing. It's in the suggestion. It's in the almost, the pauses, the barely there moments that make him lean closer, wondering what might come next. And this is where real lasting sexual tension is born. Not in how much you give, but in how much you let him imagine. Because imagination, when it's ignited the right way, does more than visual stimulation ever could. A man doesn't want everything handed to him. He wants to feel something unfold, to chase it, to discover it layer by layer. And that's what suggestion does. It creates a dance between you that keeps him captivated. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to overexpose to be seen. In fact, the most desirable women often say the least and show the least because they understand the power of restraint. They know that a look held just a little too long can speak louder than any sentence, that brushing against his arm as you laugh can linger in his mind longer than any kiss. It's the curve of a smile, the way you play with your hair while listening, the quiet confidence you carry in silence. These are the cues that tease his mind. And it's his mind you want to turn on, not just his body. Because once his imagination is involved, desire becomes something deeper, something more consuming. This is not about manipulation. It's about presence. It's about being fully aware of your power and using it in a way that's authentic to you. You can be soft and subtle and still be the most electrifying woman in the room, because when you're not trying to force attraction, it flows naturally. Suggestion allows space, and in that space, desire breathes. It builds. It simmers. Think about your favorite romantic moments, not just in real life, but in films, stories, or music. The ones that gave you chills probably weren't the ones where everything happened instantly. They were the moments where two people almost kissed, where the music swelled, the eyes locked, and the air between them changed. That tension, that delay, is where fantasy lives. And men crave that fantasy. When you let a man wonder what it feels like to kiss you, what you'd sound like when you laugh at his jokes, what it would feel like to wake up next to you, That's when he becomes intoxicated. Not because you're putting on a show, but because you're inviting him into a moment of feeling a connection. Suggestion says, I could give you more, but only if you earn it. And that idea alone awakens the part of him that wants to pursue, to impress, to connect. So never underestimate the power of a whisper over a shout, of stillness over noise, of a look, a pause, a smile that leaves just enough unsaid. Because when it comes to lasting desire, it's not about what you give away. It's about what you let him feel without ever saying a word. So if you take one thing away from this today, let it be this. A man's sexual desire is not triggered by what's on the surface. It's sparked by what he feels when he's around you. It's in your confidence when you walk into a room fully owning who you are. It's in your emotional mystery that invites him to go deeper without giving everything away too soon. It's in the passion you have for your life, the fire in your eyes when you talk about what excites you, the self-respect that tells him your world doesn't revolve around anyone but you. It's in your vulnerability, not the kind that begs to be rescued, but the kind that says, I trust you enough to show up real. And of course, it's in the subtle art of suggestion, those moments that leave him wanting more because you weren't trying to take his breath away and you did anyway. This isn't about tricks. It's not about playing games or becoming someone else. It's about coming home to the most powerful, magnetic, sensual version of yourself and letting her lead. Because when you do that, you don't just attract desire, you inspire devotion. You're not someone he wants for one night. You're someone he can't stop thinking about. So, here's my challenge to you. Step into that version of you today. The one who doesn't chase attention but naturally attracts it. The one who knows that her presence is a gift. Her truth is a strength, and her passion is her greatest source of beauty. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start showing up with the belief that you are already enough. That's what changes everything. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who needs this reminder. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss a moment of becoming the most magnetic, irresistible version of you. And hey, drop a comment below. Which one of these 5 triggers are you ready to embody starting today? Because remember, when you stop trying to be the woman you think he wants and become the woman who fully owns who she is, he won't just desire you, he'll fight to keep you. Stay true to yourself. To all the spicy ladies, make life beautiful, take care, and see you in our next video.